All right, you are now about to witness the strength of real estate knowledge. TGIF, it's here. We're ready to get started. I'm Eric Noel, the real estate guy, here with my man Ben Johnston. Welcome to the Sacramento Real Estate Show, where we entertain you with real estate knowledge and also statistics around the Sacramento, California region. So, Ben, welcome again. And how are you?
Good morning. Happy Friday, man. I'm doing great.
Yeah,
Feeling good. Trying to beat the heat this week. It's been hot.
yeah. Tell me about it, man. I heard they issued another warning this week about the weather, man. Sac is it's on fire right now, more than just real estate, bro.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah. Speaking of fires, I heard we had a couple, but thank God not as many as we did last year, man. The whole city was smoky, man. So I'm grateful for that. I don't mind the heat, but the fire, the smoke, and all. Oh man, that was horrible. So
Yeah, that was bad last year. So hopefully we have a better fire season.
yes, sir. Anything planned for this weekend?
Just kind of laying low, man. We might hit the pool tomorrow and like I said, try to stay cool. But yeah, staying close to home. I'm going to Austin, Texas at the end of this month for a coaching event. So I'm looking forward
Oh,
to that.
cool. Austin. Yeah, that's cool. My brother's out there. I
Yeah,
got a
I've
brother
never
in law.
been.
Yeah, it's really I've only been a long, long, long time ago. And you talk about some heat. I said I don't ever want to go back, man.
Yeah, I've been to Dallas one time, but never to Austin. So I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Yeah, I'll show you have a blast, man. So okay, yeah, because I plan on going to actually I'm going out to Great America with my
Nice.
taking my nieces and nephews out there to have a good time and uh, just show them Great America. They live in Fresno, so they're gonna come out
Okay.
and chill with uncle and auntie and cousins and just have a good time. So
Yeah, you guys
that's the
will have a
plan for me.
blast. Do you do roller coasters?
No, I do beer and food
let
and walking.
yeah, let them do the deal. You guys stay on the ground this weekend.
I'm on the ground, man. I'm on the ground. All right, y'all. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all your shares, your likes, and your comments from last week's show. And Ben, I'm gonna introduce a contest. So we're going to, if you share this show, um, what we're gonna do is enter your name into a drawing. So if you share the show and you DM me your email, we're gonna enter your name into a drawing where you can win that Amazon gift card, a $25 Amazon gift card. So if you share, you will be entered in if you send me your email. All right. So that's the share contest. So let's talk about what last week. I know we mentioned how expensive rents are right now,
Mhm.
and how um, for a two-bedroom, two-bath apartment, the averages you need to make an income about I think it was $40 an hour, somewhere between there. And you talked about how much you can purchase if you
Mhm.
make that annual income. Can you recap and share with us what that purchase price was, and uh, kind of inform the lenders? Excuse me, the our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, if we're talking about like a $450,000 house with a 5% down payment, you should qualify. Let's assume, I think we talked about other debts, car payments, and things being about 500 a month. That's going to
Yeah,
put you around the $450,000 range. So, um, the it's tightening, right? Because rents are coming up. I mean, that's mortgage payment money. So, um, it's important for people to realize that because also when you're paying your rent, if you're talking about $2,000 a month, that's $24,000 a year that you're spending that you're not getting any return on. So, um, yeah, I think home ownership is within reach for people, but you don't know what you don't know until you ask, right? So, yeah, we're happy to talk to anybody that has questions about payments versus rents and things like that. I actually have a really cool rent versus own comparison that I can do that shows you the big numbers over time.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing. Over time, it really adds up, right? Because at least in your home, if you're an owner, at least you're putting it towards your mortgage payment, and you're actually seeing some equity. And you actually take advantage of, you got to consult your tax person, but even taxes, it helps you on your taxes too. So, um, thanks for sharing that, man. So basically, what we're saying is, if you are on that average and you are paying rent, then you can own a home ranging about 450,000. So I got this rent chart, right, and it talks about the real cost of renting, and
Hmm.
it goes into like if your rent is $500 over a year, how much you would actually be contributing towards your rent. So if your rent is, and this is the craziest thing about it, is the highest it goes to 1,600 a month. So in 1 year, you've given your landlord 19,200, right? In 5 years, 96,000. In 10
Wow,
years, 192,000. In 15 years, $288,000.
man, that
Man,
yeah, that's a lot of money. A lot of money.
man.
Um, one thing, one thing that I like to consider, and that we always talk to clients about too, is, um, you always hear about investing and how important that is for future and diversifying investments and this and that.
Yeah.
Um, if somebody's not investing money each month into the stock market or something else, like you said, a beauty of making a mortgage payment is you're paying for some place to live, you own the home, so you're not subject to the rent going up or the landlord selling the house or whatever. But while you're paying that cost each month of living somewhere, it's like a forced investment plan. So, a lot of people, if they're not doing investing, they understand how important it is, but maybe they don't have the money to make the rent payment and then also put hundreds of dollars a month into an investment account. Well, the mortgage kind of wraps it all into one. So, like you said, you're paying to live, you have to pay somewhere to live somewhere, but then you're investing each month at the same time.
Absolutely, man. And that's the
Yeah.
benefit of home ownership, man. I mean, like you said, this is what my mentor told me a long time ago. You live in real estate, you work in real estate, you play in real estate, and when you die, you return to real estate. You might as well own some of it. So I took
Yeah.
that to heart, man. I took that to heart.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's okay, I'd like to drop a couple numbers along the same lines of that investment um, mentality. So,
Yeah, by all means, go ahead, man. Let's do it. Let's give the listeners something that they can take home with and chew on for a little bit.
yeah, definitely. So this is a conversation that I have with every client when I sit down and we look at mortgage pre-approval and we're having that conversation. Um, you just broke down the numbers of how much you're spending over time in rent, and that's big numbers. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So what I do is, if you took $50,000 and you put that in the stock market, a good return in the stock market, let's say it's 10% each year, right?
Okay.
So if you had a lump sum of 50,000, you put it in the stock market, you get 10% each year. That's $5,000 a year on your 50,000, right?
Okay.
So check this out. This is why real estate is a good investment. And I'm not talking about in the sense of purchasing a rental property, just the house that you live in. So if you wanted to buy a $500,000 home and you put 5% down, that's $25,000 for your down payment, right?
Right.
Now there's some extra costs, closing costs and things like that. But if we just look at that $25,000 down payment,
Yeah, and that's the initial investment, right? The down
yep,
payment is going towards the purchase of the house. The cost, the closing costs, while they're outside costs, they're not actually contributing to the initial investment. Correct?
yeah,
That's
exactly.
to pay off fees and taxes and things like that.
Yeah, property tax and everything like that. So 5% on 500,000, that's $25,000. Now people can use 401k money, gift money, if you have it in savings, whatever it is. So check this out. You put in 25,000. If that house appreciates 5% each year, in that first year, you've actually appreciated $25,000. So that's 100% return on a
Mm,
$25,000 investment versus looking at the stock market. If you got a 10% return on 50,000, that's only $5,000 a year, which don't get me wrong, that's great, but
yeah,
a lot of people don't understand this. So if you put 10% down on that same $500,000 home and you appreciate, that's still a 50% return on your investment. And that's just in the first year. So this is one of the ways that you can accumulate a significant amount of wealth over time, right?
exactly,
And
exactly.
and so I like to share that with people because it's like their eyes light up and they're like, okay, because you're really leveraging that asset by putting less money. So really, you're using most of the bank's money to help you grow wealth. Um, so I wanted to mention that, and also on a side note, I wanted to comment on the show because um, I've heard some feedback from people recently, especially, and they're like, man, everything I see about real estate, it's like everybody's saying buy, 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 buy.
Uh
And
huh.
what I appreciate about what we're doing here is it's probably not the right time to buy for everybody, right?
Of
So we're
course, it
talking about the
never
good, the
is, right?
bad,
It's
and the
never a right
ugly.
time for everybody.
Yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we're just out here trying to provide as much information as value so people can make their individual decisions. And I wanted to say that I really appreciate you very much for that because we just tell it like it is, right? I mean,
Thank you,
we're talking
man.
about the facts and people can make their own decision based off what we're offering.
Exactly, man, and thank you for sharing that because you're right. Like you said, it's a great time to buy for some, but we're not saying one shoe fits all, right?
Mhm.
We're putting the facts out there, giving you enough information to make an informed decision. And
Yeah.
if you want to go in depth and kind of see where you really are, which I always recommend, I mean, because let's say the home buying process it is on an average 90 days, right? So you at least want to talk to a lender, Ben Johnston, and see where you're at financially and see what steps it'll take to help you get closer to your goal of purchasing a house if you're looking to buy right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and it's like, how often do you go to the doctor? And why do you go to the doctor? You go to the
Great
doctor
question.
to get a checkup, right? They're taking your pulse, they're taking your blood pressure, just to let you know where you're at, right?
Right.
So the mortgage consultation is very similar to that. We're going to check the credit score, we're going to look at your finances, your income, and just give you a checkup, a status update on where you're at today. If the time's right, great. We'll provide some options. If not, we'll tell you to maybe work on your diet, right? Which might be
Right.
like working on your budget, getting your
Yes.
financial health right so that you can be in a good position. Um,
And and let me ask you, how much does that cost to come and see you, and for you to run their credit for serious people that are actually looking to make a purchase within the next 6 months to a year?
Honestly, it's just the investment of time. Um, we don't charge any upfront application fees. Um, I know Wells Fargo, when you apply with something for them, they actually charge you. We don't do that. Um, we're rewarded when people ultimately buy a home, but the upfront consultation, the checkup, just to see where you're at, it doesn't cost you anything but the time. So, a good thing to do. And we can do that through Zoom, in the office, in person, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, so you mean it's free, right?
It's free.
It's
Yep.
free. And ask me, how much does it cost to use me as a real estate agent to help you buy a home?
How much does that cost if I wanted to buy a house?
It's free. I charge you nothing, zero, zip, nada, nothing. It's free to use me as a real estate agent to help you purchase a home. So take advantage of that, man. And guess what else? We know where free money is, right? So, Ben, you want to talk about some of those down payment assistance programs that you mentioned,
Yeah.
for those who are currently in a situation where they're renting and maybe need help with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think we touched on a little bit last week, but the new one that's kind of hot in the news is Cal HFA has the Equity Builder program, and
Okay.
this is money that actually turns into a grant. So that Cal HFA and Movement Mortgage can actually get you 10% of the purchase price on a home. Okay, so we'll break those numbers down. $400,000 home, we can get you $40,000 to help you get that down payment, to help you cover those closing costs and get into a home. So a lot of times, I mean, if somebody has a lease that's coming up,
Mm-hmm.
we can get them into a home for
Hold
less than
on. Yeah.
5 months rent.
but, but before you sign that, think about that. At the end of the month, there's going to be an X amount of people who are signing the lease, right?
Yep,
Before you do that, check in, tap in with us.
absolutely. It's free, takes a little bit of time, but you know your options.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for sharing those programs, especially that hot one. Um, Now let's get into the economy, man. What do you see going on, and how did that affect rates this week?
So rates came up a little bit. We're still they didn't change significantly. We're still like in the mid to low fives, um,
Okay.
and that's just like the given rate. That's not talking about any seller credits to buy the rate down. So things are a little consistent. Um, Inflation numbers, they came out and it's kind of leveling off, which is a good
Okay.
thing. So those rate hikes that the Fed's been doing is working. Inflation is cooling off a little bit. So I think they're going to continue to do that, and hopefully they cool it off a little bit more to get those rates down. I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I'd probably be a billionaire, right? But from what
Hey,
we're
you would
seeing,
have to come with me to the casino, man.
yeah, there you go. There you go. We take a trip to Tahoe, right?
Right, for
Um,
sure.
So I'm really hopeful and optimistic that we might see rates come down in the next 6 to 12 months. Maybe back into the high fours or mid fours. Um, but right now, there's a good opportunity. I also want to share something that I heard earlier this week. So
Okay.
Warren Buffett, right?
Hmm. We all
Historical
know the big man.
investor,
Yes.
billionaire. So one of
Oracle
the
of
things,
Omaha.
yeah. So one of the things he's always said is, when everybody else is a seller, you want to be a buyer. And when everybody else is a buyer, you want to be a seller. So I think it's relevant to us right now just because the market has cooled off a little bit. There are a little bit less buyers in the market.
Yeah.
I think there's some opportunity there.
Man, definitely. And when you're talking about a cooling off market, that's part of the good part, right? Because like we
Yeah.
spoke on last week, you had buyers that were in the market that didn't have a shot at getting the property.
Hmm.
You know, they were hurting. I mean, going out getting beat up, stepping out of the market, and right now is a good time if it fits your situation that you
Yeah.
should be dipping your toe in and see what's out there. See if a neighborhood had opened up that was previously closed off to you, because that's a good opportunity. I mean, they said that sales of previously owned homes fell nearly 6% in July compared to June.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. So it's definitely leveling off. And around the country, it's about what they said it's down about what 8% from June to July.
As far as the sales, pending
Yeah,
sales.
yeah.
Yeah, it is a little bit less. Actually, I read an article that Zillow came out with yesterday. The Z word, um, man, Zillow. They have a household name, but I'm not a huge fan. So they came out with an article yesterday, and they were talking about, well, the headline read, home values are down
Mhm.
0.01%. And we dug a little bit deeper into that, and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Appreciation's still going up.
Yeah,
So what they meant was, based on their stats, the median home price across the country went down 0.01%.
across the
So
country. Yeah.
what that means is the average price of the homes that sold was just a little bit lower than last month, right?
Hmm.
But the way they write these headlines, it's just confusing to people. So
It is, man. It is.
appreciation's still up, and I want to emphasize to people how important it is to have you, Eric, as a real estate professional that really has their pulse on the market to be able to break down these numbers and really show people what's going on. Because, like I said, the headlines, you just can't trust them. You know,
Right.
they're designed to grab people's attention, to perpetuate fear and things like that. So, um, talk to Eric. He's got all the stats at his fingertips and can really let you know what's going on in our local market here. Because our market here is different than what it is on the East Coast. It's different
Exactly.
than what's happening in Texas. The market in Sacramento isn't the same as the market in San Diego. So it's super important that people have a reliable resource like you.
Right. I'm a California real estate agent, so we cover top to bottom, Northern Cali, Southern Cali,
Mhm.
but all markets are not identical. They are not the same. Certain all neighborhoods are not the same. All
Yeah.
price points are not the same. But I did. Speaking of value, I don't know if this went over some people's head last week, but prices are being slashed. We know that. We know that sellers are trying to get out of, trying to sell their properties, and they know that the competition is fierce out there right now because there's more homes on the market. So they are slashing prices. I mean, even our guy Sacramento Appraiser blog said that over 49% of all listings in Sacramento had a price drop. And another interesting fact that I learned this week is that the top 10 cities that are slashing prices, and one of them you mentioned. So let's go over them. Number one was Reno. Number
Okay.
two, Austin, Texas. And we
Mhm.
know Austin had been hot as
Super hot.
scorching the last couple of years. Phoenix, Arizona, another hot market.
Mhm.
Anchorage, Alaska is number four. Boise, Idaho is number five. Ogden, Utah is number six. Guess who's sitting at number seven?
What is it?
Sacramento, California.
Sacramento.
So we're number
Wow.
seven in slashing prices. Colorado Springs, number eight. Evansville, Indiana, number nine. And Medford, Oregon, number 10.
Wow.
I, I smell an opportunity out there for some buyers, man.
Yeah. Let me drop a crazy fact.
Okay.
So I had a client and they were shopping in Rancho Cordova.
Uh huh.
Um, they were what was that? So on the Anatolia neighborhood,
Yeah, I'm familiar
um,
with Anatolia.
yeah, kind of right up from Zinfandel. There's some newer communities out there.
Oh, it's a bunch of newer communities surrounding that area now.
Now, what just happened, I have never seen in my career, and I've been doing this since 2006. Okay. So this client got into contract to purchase a property for $615,000. The appraisal came back at $740,000.
Wow.
So again, I've never seen this, but we had another deal in Anatolia right up the road, and that appraisal came in $15,000 over. So it was in contract at 605, came in at 620. So, like you said, opportunity. I mean, sellers are motivated to sell for different reasons, right? Um, Kids changing schools, new jobs,
Yep.
relocation.
All
Um,
kind of things. So
but
don't,
people
yeah,
are still motivated to sell.
exactly. And that's the thing. Let's not take price reductions as that the property isn't valued higher,
Mhm.
because you could get a price reduction because, like you said, you're in a rush. You got to get out of there. You know
Yeah.
that the competition is fierce. So you're lowering the price to compete with everybody else. That's one reason, right? That
Yep.
the value could still be there. Another reason is you had an agent that didn't price your house right, period.
Hmm.
Not understanding a market that may be cooling off a little bit. So you got to price it as such. So those are things that you need to consult with your real estate agent and kind of ask those questions.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that the price of real estate as a whole is going down, right? We
Right.
really have to look at those homes case by case. So I
Or the
couldn't believe it.
value, or the value. The most important part is the value, like you said.
Yeah.
Um, that may not be going down. It's just, the supply and demand. When the supply is up and the demand is low, people got to make a financial decision.
Yeah.
and you and that's important. So that leads to opportunities for other ones.
Yeah, definitely. And man, I was so excited for this client. I couldn't believe it. I mean, they were doing an FHA loan, 3.5% down, and they're walking into 100 G's in equity. Like
Man,
straight up. I've
that's
never seen anything like it. So
I've
yeah,
never seen anything like. I know they were jumping for joy, man.
oh
How
yeah.
how did it feel being able to deliver that information? Because I know you get the appraisal. Um,
Yep.
so how was it, man?
It was definitely the best phone call I made last week. Yeah, everybody was celebrating, their agent and the client and everything, and I was rooting for them too. So it was super exciting.
So let's be clear, because some people may have never been through the home process.
Hmm.
So in the event that that happens, right? You go to buy a house. I know the answer, you know the answer, but let's share it with our listeners and viewers. You go to buy a house. You said it was how much? Listed at what price?
They got into contract at 615, which I believe was at the list price.
Okay, so they're at list price at 615. They go in, they go through the steps. You get your whole home inspection, your termite inspection, any other inspections that you may need. You go. Uh, Now it's the appraisal time. The appraisal goes out. It comes back at what?
740.
740. So does that mean that they have to increase their loan to 740?
It does not. So they when they wrote an offer on that house, they agreed to buy it for 615,000. So
Yes.
they were locked in. The seller was happy with that. They agreed to it. So with
Hmm.
the higher appraisal, they still got the house for 615, but they bought a house that's worth 740. So they put
Yes.
3.5% down on 615. Their total out of pocket was just over $30,000.
So now let's reverse that, right? Because this
Yep.
happens sometimes as well.
Mhm.
Um, you go in to buy a home. Let's use 500,000. You see it. It looks like 500,000. You write it at 500,000. You're in contract at 500,000. Um, you send out for your appraisal. Appraisal comes back at, let's say, 480.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
In most cases, what do you see happen at that point? We know the answer, but for the viewers, and for the questions, what usually happens then?
Yeah. So as a buyer, you have, unless you waive it, you
Hmm.
have an appraisal contingency. So that's telling the seller, hey, I'm willing to pay 500 for the home, but in the case that the appraisal comes in low, we're going to do one of three things. We're going to, as a buyer, maybe come in with that $20,000 to bridge the gap.
Uh huh.
We can ask the seller to drop the price to 480,
Mm-hmm.
or we can cancel. So as
Okay.
a buyer, there's three main milestones built into that contract to protect you. The
Yes.
inspections. So if we get an inspection and the roof's falling apart, and you say,
Yep.
I don't want to mess with replacing a roof. I'm not comfortable. We're going to go look for another house. You have that option. If the value comes in lower and it messes up your financing, that's the second opportunity for you to walk and find a new house.
Yep.
And then the third one is the loan contingency. So um, with us, we actually underwrite the loans in the beginning so that
Okay.
you still have that to fall back on if somebody loses a job or something like that. But we if we tell you we're going to close a loan, we're going to close a loan. Uh,
Good. Good.
yeah. So, but yeah, the buyer has more flexibility. The seller can't cancel a contract, right? It's all kind of up to the buyer.
Right. And if they do, there could, be some legal, definitely
Mhm.
consult a real estate attorney, um, if in the event that they try, because it's not likely they will, because
Right.
hopefully their agent informed them. But there are there's different situations for everybody at that point. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, man, thanks for sharing that, man, because we got to clear this up. You and I are passionate about home ownership. I believe that home ownership, everybody should own a home. I'm not saying everybody should own a home today, but at least be working towards that.
Mhm.
Um, and I believe that everybody should have an agent and a lender that's not a poodle, but a pit bull that would negotiate fiercely for them.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm glad that you're here with me, man, and helping explain this to people so that we can get this word out and get people excited about home ownership. Also, sellers, don't be down, man. I know that you're slashing prices, but guess what? Even though prices are coming down on your sale, what's happening for the property that you hopefully want to move up to?
Hmm.
Most likely they're coming down too. So there's opportunities not only for buyers, first time home buyers, but also for move up buyers. Because here's a quick fact that I learned this week as well, and we'll end it here. Uh, so I was touring some new builds for some potential clients, and while most of the properties were already gone,
Hmm.
um, and they were in the process of being built, the home buyer across the street saw that the model had dropped 100,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and her house was still being built. So she was
Right.
able to convince the builder to let her buy the model that one already had the backyard in, and of
Ooh,
course
nice.
the best one of the best backyards because it's the model property.
Yeah.
All of the upgrades, hundreds of thousands, hundreds. I believe she said 100,000 in upgrades. So that's all the backsplash, all the the texture walls, um, everything.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So even builders are feeling the crunch right now.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been hearing that same thing. So
Now,
um,
just so the listeners know, are
yep.
you what states are you licensed in?
So right now I'm licensed in California, as well as Oregon. I'm
Okay,
licensed in Texas. We were talking about Austin.
come on,
Uh,
man, keep it.
done some deals in Houston. Done some deals in Fort Worth, and then I'm working on Tennessee as well.
Okay, so far you mentioned Texas, which is one of the 10 cities on the list of seller slashing prices. We
Yep.
know California, which is another one on the list, and another one on the list is Oregon.
Yep. Medford. Yeah, right across the border. So,
Yeah,
yep, we're doing deals up there too.
so Californians, we know that there's been an exodus, right? People are looking to
Mhm.
move out of California. So if you're a seller, if you're thinking about selling, so you can move to one of those 3 states, Oregon, one of those states, Oregon and Texas. Did you mention Nevada? No, not Nevada, right?
No, I'm working on Tennessee. That's going to be
Tennessee
the
next.
third. I'll have
Okay.
that done in a month.
Okay. You got a guy that can help you with lending. And guess what? My brokerage, EXP Realty, is nationwide as well as, excuse me, worldwide. So we have all of the Americas as well as international, some other international companies as well. I'm only licensed in California, but I have agents that are more than willing and able to help you in Texas and Oregon. So
Nice.
working with me is like being a part of those states as well. So, any last words, Ben?
Um, no, not really, man. I mean, I think we covered some good stuff as always. Um, I know we're both on social media. My Instagram is at LendPro. So I post videos on there. I try to bring value, talk about credit tips and financial tips in general. So if anybody wants to give me a follow on Instagram at LendPro, I would much appreciate it. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you for joining me again, taking your time out, speaking to the listeners and viewers. And you guys have a blessed, happy, and safe weekend. Enjoy yourself.
All right.
Peace.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir, Ben. You as well.
Bye.
See you later.